Hi, folks. I've got to bend your ear for a moment about a subject that isn't spoken on too often. My background, my forte is in training, and I do see some videos out there that speak on training for prepper groups, training for preppers. Training, no matter what, is very important to you as a prepper. Whether it be going and learning new skills medically or tactically or homestead type skills. These are all very important. Most of the focus that I see centers on what to do now. As I see it, training continues after a WROL event. This is perhaps more important than your training that you undergo now or your group undergoes now. The reason for this is that your group has varying degrees of interest and varying degrees of outside responsibilities. At the present time, everyone in your group is worried about the kids and the job and everything else, and they are not so much focused on whatever training iterations you're undergoing. After a WROL event, everyone's going to be much more focused. And whereas before you had that member of your group that pretty much was just along to shoot a bunch of rounds downrange, or you had the spouse that was only halfway interested and only there to be supportive, now they're all in 100%. Additionally, you might pick up more people, whether it be relatives arriving from afar or just people who have come along, you've vetted, and you've allowed into your group. You're going to need to develop a very simple, very basic step one type of training program to get everyone on the same sheet of music quickly. What I recommend for technique is two acronyms. The first is KISS, as we all know, keep it simple, stupid. And the other one for training purposes is EDIP, which is explain, demonstrate, imitate, and practice. You are not training Delta Force here. You're trying to get everyone on the same sheet of music so that they can perform the functions that you need them to perform to protect the group as a whole. Here are some of the things that I think the bare bones minimum you need to cover after a WROL event. First off, basic defensive rules. What to carry. Do your people carry sidearms while they're on about their daily duty? Or do they carry sidearms and long guns? Do they carry sidearms and long guns within arm's reach, or only long guns within arm's reach? Cover the basic security rules. What to keep locked, when to lock it, when to unlock it. When to have light and noise discipline. Dogs. When are the dogs let out? Or when are the dogs put out on a chain to be a method of alarm? Anything to do with alarms, cameras, etc. These have all got to be covered with your new people. Rules of engagement. Very important. Does anyone that comes up to your perimeter get shot? Do you question? Do you hold? Do you turn away? What are your rules of engagement for your group? This is very, very important because if one member on post practices what he believes is the proper rules of engagement, it could totally split the team. General orders for sentries. The Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard still use 11 general orders for sentries. You will have to modify these slightly for your use, but use the full 11 general orders, such as take charge of this post and all government property within view, to walk my post in a military manner, keeping always on the alert and observing everything that takes place within sight or hearing. Unfortunately, the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force have dumbed theirs down a bit to just 3 general orders. These are important because they give basic instructions to someone on duty on how they should react when anything out of the ordinary occurs while they are on post. Very important. They need to know the function, maintenance, load and unload drills, immediate action drills for their issue firearm. No, you're not going to be putting a lot of rounds downrange doing qualification courses, but each person needs to be sure of the function of that firearm. You may have someone turn up that you know has been in possession of that M1 Garand for 20 years, yet it might just be a safe queen and they really don't have much experience with it. You can do a whole lot with dry drills without actually going to the range. Emergency response procedure and positions. Very, very important. Where does each person go and what actions do they perform during an emergency that goes on at your homestead? This is tailor-made to each person. If you've got an elderly person, their job might be to gather the children and put them in the safe room. If you've got more your assaulters, your physically fit, your half-trained people, they will move to defensive positions on the outside to cover the community. If you've got someone that's middle of the road, they may be in a defensive position, but it might be within one of your buildings. Coupled with that, what are their alternate positions? What if the threat comes from a different direction? Where would they go then? Would it be different than their primary position? Each one of these is tailor-made to that individual, and there should be some overlap to ensure that everything gets done. Chain of command. This is important, not for edification, but actually to know who to listen to when an emergency occurs. Who's in charge after the boss gets taken out? Who's in charge after that guy gets taken out? What if we can't contact the number 3 guy? Who's in charge then? Communication procedures to include alarms. What alarms and what communications do you use from your OPs and LPs, your checkpoints, back to your head shed or your main house? What types of alarms? What do they mean? Lastly, basic cover versus concealment and basic protected firing positions. Make sure that your folks know that yes, a bush will conceal you, but it provides no cover. Make sure they know if they are firing, they should be firing around a vehicle, not over the top of the vehicle. If they are firing from in a window, they should be back in the room, not hanging out the window. You could go on and on with this, but this nugget, this little bit, is what you should prepare to train your people on after a WROL. You can prepare a good 90% of this right now and put it on a couple of sheets of paper that you can issue to each person and go over it with them and allow them to study it. The only thing that's going to be specific to them will be the response positions. I've got plans to expand on this further to a second segment, a third segment, a fourth segment for training your different levels of people that you've got at your retreat in your group. But this nugget, this first little bit is the minimum you should have to go forward. Thanks for your time. Stay safe.